This show is part of One Place, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We are diving into 10 significant legal and crime stories from across the country, providing the essential details you need to stay informed on today's top headlines.
A Michigan synagogue attacker sent a rifle photo to Lebanon.
A Colorado school secretary remains at large after sexual assault.
A teen mom filmed TikToks while her baby was dying.
A Wyoming man claimed self-defense in his father's shooting death.
Fake AI citations disrupted a Georgia murder conviction appeal hearing.
An Arizona man smoked a cigar over his wife's body.
Fired FBI agents are suing over alleged political retribution claims.
An American Idol alum was indicted for murdering his wife.
A Wisconsin mother avoids prison after locking kids in storage.
Texas teens allegedly mocked the friend they shot and killed.
First, the Michigan synagogue attack. New evidence has emerged regarding Ayman Mohammad Ghazali, the man who attacked Temple Israel in Michigan. A U.S. official provided a photo Ghazali sent to a relative in Lebanon just before the attack. In the image, he is holding the same AR-style rifle used in the shooting, wearing all black with a traditional scarf. The photo was edited with Arabic text from the Quran, specifically verses about believers fulfilling vows and seeking vengeance. This suggests a high level of premeditation and a clear ideological motivation behind the violent act against the Jewish community.
The investigation into Ghazali's background reveals deep connections to Lebanon, specifically a town known as a Hezbollah stronghold. Recently, 4 of his relatives were killed in an Israeli drone strike, including 2 brothers identified as members of a rocket squad. This personal loss likely fueled his radicalization. During the attack, Ghazali rammed his truck into the synagogue, causing a fire and injuring a security guard. Fortunately, his vehicle became jammed, preventing him from entering the building where children were in school. The FBI is now treating this as a targeted act of violence.
Next, the Colorado fugitive secretary. In Greeley, Colorado, authorities are still searching for 34-year-old Brenda Meza, a former school secretary and coach. She is wanted on multiple felony sexual assault charges involving a 13-year-old 8th-grade student. The investigation began in February, after reports surfaced of a relationship that allegedly started over Instagram during Thanksgiving break. According to police, the interaction escalated from texting and sexting to physical encounters in a Walmart parking lot and a local park. Meza is accused of providing the minor with marijuana edibles and alcohol during these meetings, further complicating the serious criminal charges she now faces while on the run.
The details from the arrest affidavit are deeply disturbing, showing a pattern of grooming and manipulation. Investigators found photos on Meza's phone of the teen using marijuana and drinking, along with over 80 text messages where they exchanged, "I love you." The victim told police that Meza expressed jealousy when he spoke to other girls his age. Despite the clear evidence gathered from phone data and interviews, Meza remains at large, and the Greeley Police Department has no current updates on her location. The community is on high alert as the search for the former administrator continues.
Now to the TikTok case. A heartbreaking case out of Pierce County, Washington, involves 19-year-old Alyssa Jade Vanderbeck and 21-year-old Mark Anthony Labacco Clammer. Both have been charged with second-degree murder following the death of their 7-week-old son. Doctors found the infant had injuries consistent with abusive head trauma, which Claymore allegedly admitted occurred when he forcefully jerked the baby. Most shocking to investigators was a video found on Vanderbeck's phone. While her son was in the hospital suffering from fatal injuries, she allegedly filmed and uploaded an upbeat TikTok dance from the hospital bathroom. This occurred just one day before the infant passed away.
The timeline of events suggests a tragic delay in seeking medical help. After noticing the baby had abnormal breathing and eye movements, the couple reportedly waited about an hour before calling 911. During that time, they even filmed the child's distress to show friends. Detectives noted that in these videos, the baby appeared to be struggling significantly, with labored breathing and eyes partially open. The lack of immediate action, combined with the father's admission of forceful handling and the mother's social media activity during the crisis, has led to these severe murder charges as the community mourns the infant.
Moving to the Wyoming shooting. In Wyoming, 23-year-old Ethan Grass is facing second-degree murder charges for the death of his father, Michael Grass. Ethan recently attempted to have the case dismissed by claiming self-defense, though a judge denied the motion. The incident followed a day of heavy drinking by the father, who allegedly threatened to physically harm Ethan. In an attempt to protect himself, Ethan had even purchased a locking doorknob for his bedroom. On the night of the shooting, Ethan tried to prevent his father from driving drunk by blocking his car, which led to a physical altercation that was only stopped by the grandmother's intervention.
The situation escalated when Ethan returned home to find his father passed out. He took his father's keys and phone to ensure he couldn't leave, but when Michael woke up, he began banging on Ethan's door and threatening to break it down. Ethan texted his grandmother, stating he would defend himself if his father entered the room. Shortly after, the fatal shooting occurred. While the judge ruled that the case must proceed to trial, Ethan's defense will likely focus on the history of threats and the immediate fear he felt that night. A jury will ultimately decide if his actions were legally justified.
Next, the Georgia AI error. A murder appeal in Georgia took a bizarre turn when the state Supreme Court discovered numerous non-existent legal citations in the state's filings. Hannah Payne, who was convicted of murder following a botched citizen's arrest, is seeking a new trial. However, Chief Justice Nels Peterson pointed out at least 5 citations to cases that don't exist, and several others that did not support the legal propositions claimed. These errors appear to be the result of using generative AI to draft legal documents without proper verification. The prosecutor representing the district attorney's office denied knowledge of the fabrications, despite the justice's sharp rebukes.
The presence of these hallucinated cases has thrown the appellate proceedings into turmoil. Even Payne's own appellate lawyer apologized for not catching the errors in his opponent's brief, admitting he doesn't always read every single case cited. This incident highlights a growing concern in the legal profession regarding the unvetted use of AI tools. For Hannah Payne, the stakes are incredibly high, as she is currently serving a life sentence. The court must now determine how these fraudulent filings impact the integrity of the lower court's decision to deny her a new trial, potentially delaying the entire appeal process.
Now, the Arizona garage murder. A shocking scene unfolded in Phoenix, where 60-year-old Robert Marin is accused of killing his estranged wife, Heather. According to police, Marin shot her 4 times in their garage after a heated argument regarding their teenage daughter. The daughter reported hearing her mother plead for her life before the gunshots rang out. When she rushed to the garage, she found her father standing over the body, covered in blood, and casually lighting a celebratory cigar. When she asked him why he did it, he reportedly just shrugged his shoulders and walked away, only to return later to continue smoking while she attempted CPR.
The daughter's testimony paints a picture of a volatile domestic situation, fueled by the couple's ongoing divorce. She had avoided her mother's calls earlier that night, fearing it would further upset her father. The cold indifference Marin allegedly showed after the shooting has stunned investigators. He is now facing first-degree murder charges. This case serves as a grim reminder of how domestic disputes can escalate into extreme violence. The daughter's brave actions in calling 911 and attempting to save her mother, despite the horrific circumstances, are a central part of the ongoing investigation into this senseless tragedy in Arizona.
Shift to the FBI lawsuit. 2 veteran FBI special agents have filed a lawsuit against Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi, alleging their firings were unconstitutional acts of political retribution. The agents, identified as John Doe 1 and 2, were part of the Arctic frost investigation that led to the January 6th indictment of President Trump. They claim they were summarily dismissed without internal investigations or hearings, solely because of their involvement in the probe. The lawsuit suggests that the new administration's purge of the DOJ and FBI is targeting those perceived as politically opposed to the president, regardless of their decades of service.
The details of the dismissals are striking. One agent was reportedly called away from trick-or-treating with his children to be fired, told simply that it is what it is, when he asked if anything could be done. The agents argue that the reasons given for their termination, such as a lack of impartiality, were merely pretexts for political retaliation. This legal challenge is part of a broader wave of lawsuits following a sweeping purge of federal agents. It raises significant questions about the independence of the FBI and the protections afforded to career civil servants who work on high-profile, politically sensitive investigations.
Next, the American Idol alum, Caleb Flynn, a former contestant on season 12 of American Idol, has been formally indicted for the murder of his pregnant wife, Ashley. The indictment includes multiple counts of murder and tampering with evidence. Ashley was found dead in their Ohio home in February after Caleb called 911 to report a burglary in progress. However, investigators now believe Caleb staged the entire scene to cover up the fact that he killed her himself. Because Ashley was pregnant at the time, he is also facing charges for the death of the unborn child. His bond was recently increased to $3.5 million.
The contrast between the allegations and Flynn's public persona is stark. During his time on American Idol, he described himself as a music pastor who loved the Lord and his wife more than anything. He even compared her beauty to Carrie Underwood in promotional interviews. Now, he faces a strict house arrest if he manages to post bond, with no contact allowed with his wife's minor children. His defense attorney has already begun filing motions for a bill of particulars as they prepare for a pre-trial conference later this month. The community remains shocked by the violent turn in this former singer's life.
Now, the storage unit case. In Milwaukee, 26-year-old Azia Zielinski has been sentenced to probation after pleading guilty to child neglect. She and her husband were caught locking their 6 children, including a newborn, inside a storage unit overnight. The unit was described as putrid, with only a bucket provided for a toilet. While the judge ordered an 18-month prison sentence, it was stayed in favor of probation. Prosecutors noted that Zielinski was in an abusive and controlling relationship with her husband, which they believe mitigated her culpability. She also cooperated with the state by testifying against her husband, who was convicted of neglect earlier this year.
The conditions the children endured were horrific, discovered only after a caller reported hearing a baby crying inside the locked unit. Firefighters had to cut the padlock to rescue the children. Despite the severity of the neglect, the court focused on Zielinski's rehabilitation, requiring her to complete parenting classes and mental health treatment. Her defense argued that she was incredibly remorseful and had already begun the process of turning her life around. While she avoids immediate prison time, she must maintain complete sobriety and follow strict probationary terms to ensure the safety and well-being of her children moving forward.
Finally, the Texas teen murder. Tragedy struck in Spring, Texas, when 18-year-old Michael Spivey was killed by 2 16-year-olds he considered friends. According to his mother, the suspects asked to come inside his home to charge their phones, but once inside, they shot him in the back of the head and robbed him. There were no signs of forced entry, confirming that Spivey had willingly let them in. Adding to the family's pain, the suspects allegedly posted songs online after the murder, mocking Spivey and treating his death like a joke. Both teenagers have now been arrested and charged with murder in the juvenile justice system.
The victim's mother, Vanessa Garcia, is calling for the suspects to be prosecuted as adults, arguing that their actions were intentional and calculated. She believes that their behavior after the shooting, specifically the mocking social media posts, proves they understood the gravity of their crimes. The Harris County Sheriff's Office spent months investigating before making the arrests. This case has sparked a conversation about juvenile crime and the impact of social media on modern violence. As the legal process moves forward, the community is left grappling with the betrayal of trust that led to the loss of a kind-hearted young man.
That concludes our daily legal and crime roundup. Thank you for joining us for these important updates. Be sure to follow the show for your next daily briefing on the stories that matter.